Hey y'all, uh, welcome back to Jesus Freaks, where I am reading the story Beautiful Outlaw by John Eldredge. One chapter a day. Today is day 6, chapter 6, Extravagant Generosity. If you go back on my YouTube channel or Facebook, you should be able to find the first 5 chapters and get caught up if you haven't caught up yet. Alright. So again, chapter 6, Extravagant Generosity. I'm sitting on the beach this evening. Yeah, I'm not. I'm a little bit jealous. Sorry for the interjection there. I'm sitting on the beach this evening, watching the swells roll in toward me. Each wave builds as it approaches, ascending, taking shape, deep greens below, sweeping upward into translucent aquamarine, a sculpture in motion, curling forth like shavings from a jade carving. The sheer elegance is enough to take my breath away. The wave I'm fixed upon crashes to the sand like a work of art, toppling from its pedestal. But before I can feel the loss, another is rushing in to take its place, sweeping upward, forward, utterly mesmerizing beauty. Then comes another, then another, and another, in an unending processional. All things were made through him, comes to mind, and without him nothing has been made that has been made. What are the waves telling us about Jesus? An artist is revealed in the work he or she creates, and in the abundance of the work created. Think of the ocean. Picture it in your mind. Tonight, the breakers are thundering on a reef 100 yards out, and beyond that, open ocean. What does this tell us about Jesus? What words come to mind? Majestic, powerful, wild, dangerous. Yes, tempestuous, like the clearing of the temple. His eyes like the gray of the sea, as Ezra Pound wrote, the sea that brooks no voyaging, but also gently playful as it laps at your feet, swirling around your toes, pulling the sand away from beneath you as Jesus ever so gently pulls the rug out from under us. I looked down. Scattered at my feet lie 1,000 shells, delicate, intricate, the work of a jeweler, an artist with very small tools and exceptional eyesight. If all of this is the work of an artist's hand, what does it tell us about the artist? Creation is epic and intimate. He is epic and intimate. Everywhere around me, an obsession with beauty and attention to detail. But most of all, I am thunderstruck by the abundant generosity strewn around, constantly rolling in. It's as if someone took the family silver and ran down the beach, tossing handfuls here and there like a madman. How do you describe this extravagance? What kind of person acts like this? On the 3rd day, a wedding took place at Cana in Galilee. Jesus' mother was there, and Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. Oh, excuse me. When the wine was gone, Jesus' mother said to him, "They have no more wine." "Dear woman, why do you involve me?" Jesus replied. "My time has not yet come." John 2, verses 1 through 4. Pause. What is his tone of voice at this moment? It makes all the difference. Is he being aloof? Is there a sigh of impatience? Is he irritated? Be careful what you read into that story. His response to Mary seems rude, but that cannot be. We know he adored her. My goodness, while hanging in agony from the cross, he arranges for her care. The beauty of their relationship is revealed here as well. She knows all she has to do is ask. There couldn't have been anything condescending in his reply, for she simply turns to the servants and says, like a Jewish mother, "Do whatever he tells you." Verse 5. Nearby stood 6 water stones, and the kind used by the Jews for ceremonial washing, each holding from 20 to 30 gallons. Jesus said, Jesus said to his servants, "Fill the jars with water." And so they filled them to the brim. Then he told them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the banquet." They did so, and the master of the banquet tasted the water that had been turned into wine. He did not realize where it had come from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew. Then he called the bridegroom aside and said, "Everyone brings out the choice wine first, and then the cheaper wine after the guests have had too much to drink. But you have saved the best till now." This, the first of his miraculous signs, Jesus performed at Cana in Galilee. He thus revealed his glory, and his disciples put their faith in him. Verses 6 through 11. And wait a second. 6 stone water jars holding up to 30 gallons each? That would be somewhere close to 180 gallons. John makes a point of saying that the jars were filled to the brim. 180 gallons equals about 682 liters. That would be 908 bottles of wine. 908. I know, it seems too extravagant. But the scripture makes a point of telling us exactly how many urns there were, how much they held, and even pushes the point that they were filled to the brim. Apparently, the quantity Jesus produced is important. Oh, goodness. Important to the story. And I'm certainly not going to begrudge Jesus the right to be generous. John says, "He thus revealed his glory." What is it exactly that Jesus thus revealed? Certainly his power over creation, but there is something else here, something beautiful. Jesus did not provide cheap wine as the maitre d' expected, given the lateness of the hour, nor did he make a statement by substituting grape juice. He didn't just give them a little wine, say a dozen bottles to wrap up the evening with one last toast. Jesus does it lavishly, to the tune of 908 bottles. Just as the 153 fish the boys caught were specifically noted to be large fish. Here is the same stunning generosity we see pouring forth from creation. The whole earth is filled with his glory. Isaiah 6:3. Oh, the beauty of Jesus. The text declares he hadn't planned on revealing himself at this time. Might this help us with our own prayer lives? Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened to you. Matthew 7:7. Jesus would not have urged us to pray if he were not approachable. Bailing the groom out of an embarrassing situation wasn't Jesus' intention. My time has not yet come. But he does it anyway. And not a bit grudgingly. 180 gallons of top-grade hooch late into the reception. The crowd has already emptied the cupboards. What is it, close to midnight at this point? The party is going to carry on for hours. What joy, what gladness, how generous and celebratory, just like sunshine. What daily radiance has showered upon us that immense golden goodness. Every single day, over so much of the planet, it's saturated our world, warming the earth, raising the crops in the fields by silent resurrection, unfolding flowers, causing birds to break out in song with the dawning of each day. It bathes everything else in light, which then enables us to behold and enjoy, to live and work and explore. What a gift sunlight is, coming and going. I love getting up in the darkness of early morning and praying through the dawn. As I find myself drawing nearer to God, the room begins to grow lighter and lighter while the spiritual air clears around me. With a final amen, the golden glowing light of sunrise fills the room like the presence of God. We get hours of it every day, hundreds and hundreds of gallons, and then late afternoon, how beautiful things are when backlit. Autumn grains and grasses, full heads glowing, as if every top bursting with Shekinah glory. The gaudy splendor of sunset flowers, and then the waiting period of night to help us appreciate the gift. Imagine if it were always night, if dawn never came. But it does come, faithfully, lavishly, making our hearts glad once more. What a gift light is, and given in such abundance, we can hardly take it in. What does sunshine tell us about the personality of Jesus? What does the gift of our senses tell us about Jesus? Summer has swept over Colorado. The aspens have fully leaved out after a very wet spring. All the groves are lush, and the breeze in their boughs sometimes sounds like a soft, gentle rain shower. When stronger winds blow, it sounds like the surf as it recedes across a pebble beach. What generosity would have created this bough and leaf, breeze, and the human ear just so that we can appreciate the subtleties of its exquisite sounds? What of touch, the tactile experiences that abound to us? The warmth of riverside stones baked by the sun. We love to hold them after a plunge in the cold water, letting the warmth radiate all the way into our bodies. The comfort of a human caress. And smell. Who would have thought of such a thing? The pungent earth after a rain. All creation washed and hung out like laundry. And hearing. Rain on a tin roof, the laughter of your child, music, and taste. Watermelon, blue cheese, Tabasco, coffee, chocolate. There is a reason we are warned against gluttony. What generosity gave us so much? Beauty answers nearly every question. Whoever, therefore, is not enlightened by such splendor of created things is blind. Whoever is not awakened by such outcries is deaf. Therefore open your eyes, alert the ears of your spirit. Open your lips and apply your heart. Concerning the mirror of things, perceived through sensation, we can see God in them as He is in them. Now, yes, creation sometimes screams a confusing message. Fear, pain, grief, fire burns, rivers flood, winds go hurricane, the earth shudders so hard it levels cities. But you must remember, this was not so in Eden. Mankind fell, surrendering this earth to the evil one. St. Paul says that creation groans for the day of its restoration. See Romans 8:18-22. Making it clear that everything is not as it was meant to be. People come to terrible conclusions when they assume this world is exactly as God intended. An assumption that has wrought havoc in the sciences. The earth is broken, which only makes the beauty that does flow so generously that much more astounding and reassuring. What do we make of the gift of water? We can swim in it, but also float upon it. You can drink it and surf it. Droplets fall from the sky in staggering abundance, yet it also flows in streams and rivers. It makes one sound as a brook, another as a waterfall, and something else altogether in the silence of falling snow. This extravagance is almost scandalous. Remember, the heart of the artist is revealed in their work. Here and there and everywhere, the creations of Jesus spring like characters from a fairy tale all over the earth. Dragonflies, porcupines, muskox, their great shaggy kilts hanging around them and mighty horns swooping down, look like creatures, if not from Norse mythology, then certainly from ancient times. not something walking about this moment just north of us. Really now, what do we have here? Who do we have here? You must understand an important distinction. There is Christianity, then there is church culture. They're not the same. Often they are far from the same. The personality conveyed through much of Christian culture is not the personality of Jesus, but of the people in charge of that particular franchise. Tragically, the world looks at funny hats or big hair, gold thrones and purple curtains, stained glass or fog machines, and assumes that this is what Jesus must be like. When you are confronted with something from Christian culture, ask yourself, is this true of the personality of the God of the wind and the desert, the God of sunshine and the open sea? This will dispel truckloads of religious nonsense. And by beginning his gospel here, John makes it clear this is quite biblical. But we are talking about generosity, letting our eyes roam back and forth, as Shakespeare said, from heaven to earth, from earth to heaven, from the book of nature to the pages of the Gospels. When he came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him. Matthew 8, 1-2. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. Matthew 8:5. When Jesus came into Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with fever. Matthew 8:14. 2 blind men were sitting by the roadside, and when they heard that Jesus was going by, they shouted, "Lord, Son of David, have mercy on us." Matthew 20:30. A few days later, when Jesus again entered Capernaum, the people heard that he had come home. So many gathered that there was no room left, not even outside the door. Mark 2, 1-2. Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the lake, and a large crowd from Galilee followed. Mark 3:7. Jesus entered a house, and again a crowd gathered, so that he and his disciples were not even able to eat. Mark 3:20. When Jesus got out of the boat, a man with an evil spirit came from the tombs to meet him. Mark 5:2. One of the synagogue rulers named Jairus came, seeing Jesus as he fell at his feet, and pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." Mark 5:22-23. Because so many people were coming and going that they did not even have a chance to eat, he said to them, "Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest." And so they went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them and ran on foot from all the towns and got there ahead of them. Mark 6:31-33. He entered a house and did not want anyone to know it, yet he could not keep his presence secret. In fact, as soon as she heard about him, a woman whose little daughter was possessed by an evil spirit came and fell at his feet. Mark 7:24-25. Late into the night, early in the morning, walking down the road, in the middle of his supper, at home, abroad, Jesus offers his time, his words, his touch, flowing like the wine at Cana. To appreciate the reality of it all, remember this is not Superman. Remember his loneliness, his weariness, his humanity. This is utterly remarkable, particularly in light of the fact that this man, on a life or death mission, he is lavish with himself. And that's the key right there, that giving of himself. That is what is so precious. Moses offered leadership and tirelessly. Solomon handed out the rarest of wisdom free of charge. Pilate seemed willing to toss to the crowds anyone they wanted, but Jesus gives himself. This is, after all, what he came to give, and what we most desperately need. Jesus points to a field of wheat. Imagine trying to count the number of kernels in 1 acre. Immeasurable abundance. Turning our gaze to those luxuriant fields, he says, listen carefully. Unless a grain of wheat is buried in the ground, dead to the world, it is never any more than a grain of wheat. But if it is buried, it sprouts and reproduces itself many times over. John 12:24 from the Message. The point he is making is that he has come to share his life with us. But again, as soon as I say that, the old religious associations rush in to fog the reality. Imagine walking through a rainforest, diving over a coral reef, simply looking through a microscope at a drop of pond water. Creation is pulsing with life. It is the life of Jesus, given generously for the life of all things. He is called the author of life, who personally sustains all things. Acts 3:15 and Hebrews 1-3. This is the life he offers us. This is the extravagance with which he offers it. Jesus doesn't only give his life for mankind, he also gives his life to mankind. It is showered upon us like manna. We'll come back to this in a moment. For now, we'll simply notice that the man was generous, extravagant, and he still is. All right, guys, that was chapter 6 of The Beautiful Outlaw by John Eldredge. And tomorrow we will pick up chapter 7, Disruptive Honesty. Hope to see you there.